Well, good afternoon, everybody. And before I start my presentation, which I think is over there someplace, I just wanted to thank the organizers of this event and wanted to express my really deep appreciation to a couple of my colleagues who are also in attendance. And really, they're the ones who have driven the technical part of this to get the whole ePhyto solution moving. Mr. Venkateswaran from the United Nations International Computing Center and Mr. Peter Namens, who's the chair of our ePhyto steering group. And I'd also like to express appreciation to the Standard and Trade Development Facility of which you heard from this morning, Mr. Melvin Spray. And I also would like to just add that my role in this is I'm just a pretty face. So, you know, they're talking about 10 minutes and all that stuff. So the first slide I'm going to show is ePhyto in 3 minutes. So if I could have the help of the assistants there, we'll show you a video, and then I'll go through my slides relatively quickly, skipping a few because I think a lot of it's covered in the video. And it's a cartoon because they thought that would be easier for me to understand.
To prevent pests entering countries, a phytosanitary certificate is needed in the trade of plant and plant products. Today, many countries still produce this certificate in paper form, paper that needs to travel great distances, to be handled by numerous parties, and risks being damaged, lost, or faked. This often causes delays in the delivery of products and jeopardizes legitimate trade, increasing the risk of spreading pests and disease. That is why paper certificates have a significant impact on pest spread, trade flow, and trade costs. With the ePhyto solution, all of this will change. The ePhyto solution allows the electronic exchange of phytosanitary certificates. In the past, countries inefficiently exchanged ePhytos. But today, the ePhyto solution makes this process more effective and inclusive. The system has two components: the hub, which is the centralized system where all ePhytos are exchanged, and the GENS, which is a centralized web-based system that supports developing countries without their own national system to produce and exchange ePhytos through the hub. Each country can choose to connect to the hub with its own national system, or if it doesn't have one, it can use the GENS. Once connected, countries will be able to exchange ePhytos in a harmonized and efficient way. That is why the ePhyto solution makes trade safer, faster, and cheaper. Safer by reducing possibilities of fraud and preventing pest spread. Faster by improving border procedure. And cheaper by reducing costs associated with certificate delays. The ePhyto solution, the system helping governments and companies trade plant and plant products in a faster, safer, and more sustainable way.
So I guess we'll go back to the PowerPoint if I can. that's pretty much it in 3 minutes, but moving along, just very briefly, it says it will make things better. It's making things better already. I'd like to tell you that both the ePhyto hub and the gens are fully operational. Right now, roughly, and I'm looking at Venkat to back me up on this, roughly about 8,000 to 10,000 certificates per month are being exchanged now, really, for sure. It's already been saving some money for some companies. In one instance, there was a paper certificate accompanying a grain shipment from, I think, the United States to Chile. There were some issues related to the requirements for the grain to enter into Chile that could have possibly delayed the shipment entering into Chile for up to 3 days with the resulting demurrage charges of approximately $30,000. Chile is actively exchanging phytosanitary certificates, ePhytos, and as a result, the U.S. and Chile communicated with each other. An ePhyto was sent to Chile, and $30,000 in demurrage charges for a company was being saved. That's one example. There are a number of other examples that I'm not going to get into here because you can always ask questions, visit the website, and we're continuing to find these out. This is the only project among the 3 SPS sisters that's actually moving forward. There's some research being done by the OIE, and I've promised my colleagues that I'm not making any veterinarian jokes today. Are there any veterinarians in the audience? If there are, could you raise your hand? Oh, good, I can make a veterinarian joke, but I'll wait till later. And the key thing for this is that it allows developed and developing countries both to participate. As you saw, the generic national system has specifically been set up so developing countries can access the ePhyto hub and exchange ePhytos. Now, it costs them nothing to be on the GEN system. It costs them nothing to participate in ePhyto. It does cost them in terms of developing their own national infrastructure to be prepared to properly issue and do the inspections and certify, et cetera. But in terms of the ePhyto itself, it's free, and it's intentionally set up that way. And again, we got $1 million from the STDF to set up the hub and the gens, and we built it, or actually UNICC built it, for less than that, a little over $500,000. And again, I want to emphasize, it's up, it's running. Countries are exchanging ePhytos today. Not a lot of them, but they're slowly building up the numbers. So the benefits you could see in the video, I'm going to slide over this kind of quick. But this is the key point here. As you can see, there's the hub, which is a central place for everybody. That's basically a pass-through. It's like a post office. Nobody reads the mail. Nobody reads the ePhytos. It's just a pass-through. It's facilitating the exchange of electronic phytosanitary certificates. The generic national system is set up for those countries that don't have their own national system. And the key point to all of this, and I'll talk about this a little bit further, is that there's a harmonized message. Nobody has to reinvent the wheel in order to exchange with another country. So an ePhyto isn't a JPEG, it isn't a piece of paper, it's computer language, and it goes pretty fast. If anybody's ever been shipping something from one country to another in bulk, in a container or something like that, you know that it takes a while for the paper certificate to end up in the other country where it's being imported. With ePhyto, it goes in a couple of seconds. It's a big difference from the way things have been done in the past. So why? This is a good reason. Before, you used to have countries negotiate bilaterally. Developed countries could do this easily. Developing countries can't afford $120,000 to set up a connection and then subsequent payments each year to maintain those connections. So that's one of the reasons we're looking for something a little bit simpler. Another example, over 50% of cut flower shipments done in a survey by Union Fleur, over 50% of the problems with the shipments were due to problems with the phytosanitary certificate. nothing to do with the pests that we're concerned with in national and national plant protection organizations. National efficiencies are improved, reductions in trade. All this stuff is continued in the video that you saw, but I'm sure that we'll be able to provide a copy of the presentation at the end. So this is kind of what it would look like. This is probably more like the way I would draw it, a little messy, but you can see that there are countries, and all those countries are on the hub. Not all of them are actively exchanging. They're in different statuses in terms of their development and access to the hub. But then you can see the generic national system, Sri Lanka, Fiji, Ghana, Samoa, there are others, and you'll see that in the next slide. Jamaica, St. Kitts and Nevis, all these developing countries, small island countries, are all working with the generic national system to move forward. And Ghana is already fully operational, and they're exchanging ePhytos through the system already. And they were one of our pilot countries. So these are some of the things, and I'm emphasizing gens because it's really been the emphasis for us in this region and with developing countries in general. Export, import, reference data. The data belongs to the country that's using the gens. And most importantly here, and I want to emphasize this, countries don't have to maintain and upkeep the system. They get it for free. UNICC makes the changes. When the changes to the system are made, they're applicable across the board to all countries using the gens. So as I noted before, this region is particularly important for us, but specifically Sri Lanka, where my colleagues will be going next week to help further their involvement with the gens. Samoa has been very active. Myanmar, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, and many others are developing in their access to the hub through the gens. Another bunch of countries, Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, Korea, China, they're all in certain stages in terms of accessing and using the ePhyto. And based on some of the information we received at a workshop a couple weeks ago in Fiji, there are plans to have an ePhyto regional manager in the Pacific countries. So, talked about the innovativeness. It's pretty innovative to go from paper to digital, I would think. I think that's one of the reasons why we're getting the award. Looking at the cost benefits analysis, I gave you the one example of the grain shipment to Chile. Thinking about overnight shipments, US $50 per shipment, looking at the number of emails that are exchanged just in the grains industry alone, I think are over like 300,000 emails on an annual basis, just dealing with grain shipments. And that's big bulk shipments. There aren't a whole bunch of those. There are a lot of other shipments that are going around, and that's just emails, taking the time to type emails, et cetera, like that. Losing paper, things of that. And then the other thing that we've been looking at is long-term sustainability of the project. We're looking at ways to finance it. Right now, we've received the initial startup money from STDF and our contracting parties of the IPPC, and it's been very beneficial for us. So these are things we're looking at doing, and we are doing. We have an industry advisory group. We're keeping very close tabs with them. We're talking to the large grain corporations, ADM, Bunge, COFCO, Cargill, Louis Dreyfus, talking about integrating with their blockchain. We're also looking at TradeLens in terms of integrating with their blockchain, and we're looking at all the opportunities we can have to integrate what we do in ePhyto with blockchains and even other organizations, including the Animal Health Organization, OIE, and the other Codex Alimentarius Commission, which is the third of the three sisters. So, with the SDGs, this is kind of a list. It's kind of hard to see from back in the crowd, but for us, when we were looking at this, we were talking, looking at no poverty, zero hunger. We're getting food to people. people are going to be actively engaged and employed. We're also looking at the fact that it is innovative, and we're improving this annually, almost weekly. In fact, we've been talking about different opportunities to enhance our ability to integrate with blockchains, things of that nature. Climate action, it's a stretch, but people aren't using the paper, trees aren't being cut down, and obviously partnerships. We're looking at partnerships not only with the countries that have national plant protection organizations, but also with our other sister organizations, industry and other international organizations that use certificates in paper. So with that, I'll say thanks.